Silicon Valley isn't just built on innovation. It's also built on secrets, scandals, and sometimes straight-up crime, from stolen data to fraudulent startups. These are the crimes that built Silicon Valley. Welcome back to Maps Explained, where we reveal the unexpected. Today, we're peeling back the code of Silicon Valley's dark side. 6 major scandals that shook companies, shocked investors, and reshaped entire sectors. By the end, you'll see how ambition and just a few bad decisions helped build the tech world we know today, and what lessons we need to learn from them.
Tonight, we bring you an elaborate story of fraud and greed detailed in a newly unsealed 25-count federal indictment. A former tech CEO and his lawyer wife charged with fraud, conspiracy, identity theft, and more.
In January 2025, Alex Beckman, founder of gameon, later known as On Platform, and his wife, Valerie Lau Beckman, were arrested in San Francisco. They were indicted in a $60 million fraud scheme: wire fraud, securities fraud, identity theft, and bank fraud. The scheme ran for 6 years, starting in 2018, until On Platform's board removed Beckman in 2024 after uncovering financial irregularities. The Beckmans inflated fake client contracts, projected bogus revenue figures, and staged elaborate misdirection plays, all designed to convince banks and investors that their company was more profitable than it actually was. They went so far as to forge entire audit packages. Using Photoshop and PDF editors, they inserted Ernst & Young branding into fake income statements and doctored balance sheets. To fool banks, they impersonated their own CFO using spoofed email accounts, burner phones, and fake domains. In one case, they responded to a due diligence inquiry by pretending to be a controller, insisting the company had $20 million in recurring revenue. The real number? Just $500,000. The money they stole? They used it to fund their lavish lifestyle: homes, vehicles, even their wedding venue.
In April of 2022, Beckman and Valerie Lau are accused of using hundreds of thousands of dollars on personal expenses. Things like his kid's private school, a black Tesla Model X, jewelry, social clubs, and multi-million-dollar houses in San Francisco.
They called him Silicon Valley's party animal. Michael Rothenberg founded Rothenberg Ventures, a VC firm that raised $100 million to invest in startups like Robinhood and SpaceX. But Rothenberg wasn't funding innovation. He was funding himself.
He threw expensive parties, hired 3 executive assistants, and had another personal assistant. He also flew private or business class everywhere.
He diverted over $18 million in investor money into lavish trips, nightlife, and luxury real estate. Among his most extravagant stunts, $1 million on Super Bowl suites, another $1 million on Formula One tickets, and hundreds of thousands on founder retreats in Napa and Ibiza, all of it for image. To cover it up, he created secret bank accounts, faked investor documents, and backdated financial statements. He even secured bank loans using false financials, just to plug holes created by his own spending. In November 2023, he was convicted of wire fraud, money laundering, and bank fraud. Rothenberg was barred from the securities industry, and his firm effectively shut down. The scandal forced limited partners to rethink how they vet venture capitalists. Today, LPs demand stricter audits, more oversight, and transparency about how VCs spend investor money. Elizabeth Holmes promised to change the world. Her company, Theranos, claimed it could test your blood using just a single drop. It raised over $700 million. But it was all built on a lie. The Wall Street Journal exposed the truth in 2015. The technology didn't work, and Holmes, along with COO Sunny Balwani, had misled investors, regulators, and patients.
But after the publication of 2 Wall Street Journal articles in October 2015, Holmes's claims began to unravel.
Holmes sustained the deception by creating an insular company culture that punished dissent and discouraged scrutiny. She restricted access to lab data, separated engineering and lab staff, and constantly shifted technical goals. Internal concerns were silenced with threats of legal action, and high-profile board members, including Henry Kissinger and General James Mattis, helped bolster the illusion of legitimacy. Wall Street Journal reporter John Carreyrou began investigating in 2015 after a tip from ex-lab director Adam Rosendorf. His reporting exposed the sham, triggering regulatory and investor backlash that ultimately led to Theranos' downfall. In 2022, Holmes was convicted on multiple counts of wire fraud and conspiracy to defraud, resulting in an 11-year prison sentence. She was ordered to repay $450 million to investors. The fallout was enormous. Investor trust in biotech was shattered. The FDA cracked down, and university spinouts adopted stricter validation standards. Theranos changed how health tech is regulated and how founders are scrutinized. On March 10, 2023, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed.
A rough week for the banking industry.
The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank.
The second biggest bank collapse in U.S. history.
The Silicon Valley Bank collapsed on March 10 after a run on deposits doomed the tech-focused lenders' plans to raise fresh capital.
4 decades after its creation, Silicon Valley Bank was the 16th largest bank in the U.S. It took just a day and a half for it to fall apart.
This is the second biggest bank failure that's ever happened in the United States.
It was the biggest bank failure since 2008. SVB catered almost exclusively to startups and VCs. And when it disclosed a $1.8 billion loss from selling treasury bonds, alarm bells rang across venture capital circles. VC firms like Founders Fund told portfolio companies to pull deposits. The result? A $42 billion withdrawal run. In just 24 hours. The next day, regulators stepped in and seized the bank. Between 2014 and 2015, academic Alexander Kogan created a Facebook app disguised as a personality quiz. It paid users to take the quiz, but also harvested data from all of their Facebook friends. In total, 50 million profiles. And that data was sold to Cambridge Analytica, a political consulting firm. They used it to build psychological profiles. Then, during the 2016 US election and Brexit, they launched targeted ad campaigns designed to sway the most emotionally vulnerable voters. They called this group the Persuadables. It was psychological warfare disguised as marketing.
The Guardian is reporting that Cambridge Analytica used personal information from the profiles of millions of U.S. voters without permission. A whistleblower says that information was used to build a powerful software program to predict and influence choices at the ballot box.
In 2018, whistleblower Christopher Wiley testified before Parliament. Documentaries like The Great Hack revealed how deep the deception went. The backlash was massive. A delete Facebook movement, congressional hearings, and a $5 billion fine, the largest ever for a privacy violation.
Facebook is scrambling to contain the fallout over a data privacy scandal. Mark Zuckerberg finally addressed the story on Wednesday, but only after a delete Facebook campaign had started to gain momentum around the world.
Facebook, now Meta, overhauled its privacy policies, and nations across the world passed digital privacy laws. In November 2022, the crypto world imploded. FTX, a top global crypto exchange, collapsed.
On November 6th, the token's value began to fall, losing more than 80% of its worth in the span of 72 hours. Once seen as a survivor in a struggling market, the fall of FTX has sent shockwaves through the cryptocurrency industry.
And at the center of it all, Sam Bankman-Fried. SBF diverted between $8 and $11 billion from customer accounts to his hedge fund, Alameda Research.
I was one of maybe 6 people who was invited to ask SBF some questions.
You described that these customer funds were being sent to Alameda Research. Can you help me understand how that's not wire fraud?
Sorry. Be clear, and I'm done answering questions from you after this. This is not a constructive approach, but I will answer.
None of it has been. None of it has been, Sam. You don't answer questions.
I understand, so I'm going to answer this question.
No, you're not.
He used that money to bet on volatile tokens, Solana, Serum, Dogecoin, and to fund a luxurious lifestyle. He bought real estate, donated to political campaigns, and sponsored celebrities. But in November 2022, a leaked balance sheet showed FTX was in trouble. Binance CEO Changpeng Zhao tweeted doubts. Users panicked. And within 48 hours, FTX was done. SBF was arrested in the Bahamas, extradited, and in 2024, sentenced to 25 years in federal prison. A U.S. court ordered FTX to repay $12.7 billion in restitution, the largest crypto recovery in history. The collapse triggered new global crypto regulations, and it shattered confidence in unregulated digital finance. SBF didn't just steal money, he shattered an entire industry's credibility. Today we've mapped 6 crimes that shaped Silicon Valley, exposing hidden corridors of ambition, greed, and vulnerability. We've learned transparency and oversight are critical, and unchecked hype can be a Trojan horse. Silicon Valley thrives on disruption, but these stories remind us, if you burn too bright too fast, you risk burning it all down. If you enjoyed this video, click like and subscribe to Maps Explained. Which scandal stood out the most? And what lessons do you think we've missed? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching Maps Explained. Stay curious, stay skeptical. See you in the next mysterious adventure.